In the autumn of 1982, people across the Chicago area began to die. Healthy people, young and old, struck down suddenly and without warning. The thing that connected them was terrifyingly ordinary. Each had reached for a bottle of headache medicine, the kind in nearly every home in America. Someone had filled those capsules with poison and placed them on store shelves. They were never caught. This is the story of the Tylenol murders. Welcome to Curio Hour, where we uncover the strange, the unsolved, and the unforgettable. Today's story: the Tylenol murders. It was late September 1982 in the suburbs of Chicago. Life was ordinary and the season was turning toward autumn. No one had any reason to fear their medicine cabinet. At the time, Tylenol was one of the most trusted brands in America. It was the go-to remedy for headaches, colds, and aches found in millions of homes. On the morning of September the 29th, a 12-year-old girl named Mary Kellerman woke up feeling unwell, with a cold coming on. Her parents gave her a single capsule of extra-strength Tylenol to help her feel better and sent her on her way. Within hours, she had collapsed and died. It was a devastating shock. A healthy child gone in a single morning. At first, doctors had no idea what had happened. It seemed like a sudden, inexplicable tragedy. But that same day, in another part of the Chicago area, a man named Adam Janis also fell suddenly and fatally ill after taking Tylenol for a minor ache. And the horror did not stop there. As the grieving Janis family gathered at his home, his brother and sister-in-law each took capsules from the very same bottle. Within days, both of them had died as well. 3 members of one family, all gone, all after taking Tylenol from the same container. Now a pattern was emerging. 2 off-duty investigators, comparing notes on the strange string of deaths, made a chilling connection. Each victim had recently taken Tylenol. It was a brilliant and terrifying leap of insight. The common thread was not a disease or a coincidence. It was the medicine itself. Investigators rushed to test the capsules from the victims' bottles. The results came back quickly, and they were horrifying. The capsules had been laced with potassium cyanide, a deadly poison. And not in small amounts. Each contaminated capsule contained many times the lethal dose. This was no accident. No factory mistake could produce such heavily poisoned capsules. Someone had deliberately tampered with the medicine. And the realization that followed was the stuff of nightmares. If these bottles had been poisoned, how many more were out there, sitting on store shelves, waiting? As more deaths were confirmed, the toll climbed. In the end, 7 people would die in the Chicago area, all from cyanide-laced Tylenol. The 7 victims had nothing in common with one another. Different ages, different neighborhoods, different lives. They were connected only by the poison. Investigators traced the contaminated bottles back to their stores, and a method began to take shape. The killer had not poisoned the bottles in the factory. The contaminated bottles came from different factories and different batches, yet all ended up in stores around Chicago. That ruled out a problem at the source. Instead, the evidence pointed to a chilling method. The killer had bought or taken bottles of Tylenol from stores, taken them somewhere private, and opened the capsules. They emptied out the medicine, replaced it with cyanide, resealed the capsules, and returned the bottles to the shelves of several different stores. Then they simply walked away and waited. Anyone who bought one of those bottles anywhere at any time could become the next victim. It was random, patient, and merciless. This was a crime designed to spread pure terror. The victims were not targeted. They were simply unlucky enough to reach for the wrong bottle on the wrong day at the wrong store. There was no way for anyone to protect themselves, and that was exactly the point. When the news broke, a wave of panic swept across the country. The fear was immediate and overwhelming. Police drove through Chicago neighborhoods with loudspeakers, warning people not to take Tylenol. Announcements interrupted television and radio across the nation. People rushed to throw away their medicine. Hospitals were flooded with frightened callers. A nation that had trusted the bottles in its cabinets suddenly feared them. The company that made Tylenol faced an enormous crisis. And to its credit, it acted boldly. It pulled every single bottle of the product from shelves across the country. It was a recall of around 31 million bottles, an extraordinary and costly decision. The company put public safety ahead of its own profits. This response is now studied as a model of how a company should handle a disaster. But in the moment, it was simply a desperate effort to stop more deaths. The recall almost certainly saved lives. As the bottles came off the shelves, the deaths stopped. But the question remained: who had done this? And the fear did not end completely. The case inspired a wave of copycat tampering across the country, as others laced products with poison in twisted imitation. The investigation into the original murders was massive. It became one of the largest criminal inquiries in the region's history, with many agencies involved. Investigators chased thousands of leads. They studied the stores, the bottles, the cyanide, and anyone who might have had access to such a poison. But the very nature of the crime made it almost impossible to solve. The killer had no connection to the victims. There was no personal motive to trace. There were no witnesses to the tampering itself. The killer could have slipped the bottles onto the shelves in seconds, unnoticed among ordinary shoppers. Security cameras were rare in those days. Forensic science was far less advanced than it is now. The poisoner had chosen a method that left almost nothing behind. Investigators did have one promising lead. Shortly after the murders, the company received a letter demanding a large sum of money to stop the killings. The letter was traced to a man named James Lewis. He was found and convicted not of the murders, but of attempting to extort money from the company. Lewis became the prime suspect in the murders themselves. He even, while in prison, described in detail how the poisoner might have done it. But that was not the same as confessing. Lewis always denied being the killer, insisting he had only tried to take advantage of the situation for money. And crucially, investigators could not place him in Chicago at the time of the murders. Despite decades of suspicion, no physical evidence ever directly tied him, or anyone else, to the poisoned bottles. He was never charged with the killings, and he later died a free man. Other suspects have been considered over the years. Authorities have revisited the case more than once, using modern forensic techniques on the old evidence. They have tested for fingerprints and genetic material, hoping that science could finally do what the original investigators could not. So far, it has not been enough. The case remains open to this day. After more than 40 years, no one has ever been convicted of murdering the 7 victims of the Tylenol poisonings. Somewhere, the person who emptied those capsules and filled them with cyanide may still walk free, or may have taken the secret to the grave. But out of this terrible crime came a change that touches nearly every one of us, every single day. The Tylenol murders transformed product safety forever, in ways that still protect millions of people who have never even heard the story. Before 1982, medicine and food came in simple, easily opened containers. After the murders, that was no longer acceptable. The industry was forced to change. Tamper-evident seals, foil over bottle openings, shrink wrap, and sealed packaging all became standard. That little seal you break on a new bottle is a direct legacy of this case. 7 innocent people died because they trusted an ordinary bottle. Their killer was never found, but the safeguards born from their deaths still quietly protect the rest of us. The Tylenol murders.